Wow, who would have thought that one transformation I was really waiting for was for this movie to turn into a good one. Hey, what's up, nerd fam? This is your boy Gershon. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. Okay, today we got a bit of a doozy of a video here because there's a lot and nothing to talk about at the same time when it comes to Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. So, quick backstory before we get into this dumpster fire of a movie. A couple months ago, I spoke to my friend Taylor, and I remember saying to him, hey, you know, I don't think this movie's gonna match up, because I saw the Beast Wars stuff, you know, I saw Optimus Prime and all that in the trailer months ago, and I'm like, this doesn't match what they've been showing with the Michael Bay movies. How is this taking place earlier and we don't hear about blah, 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 right? I was just talking about continuity. So Taylor talks to me about the Bumblebee movie, which I had not seen, which I purposely avoided. And he tells me like, hey, you should probably watch this movie because this movie seems to undo a lot of things. So if it's following that movie and disregarding the Michael Bay movies, it might make a lot of sense. So, and he was telling me it had great fight scenes and stuff like that. And I go and I see that obviously Optimus appears at the end of that movie, which is weird because obviously we know in the 2007 movie, he comes there, you know, with Shia LaBeouf and all that stuff. But Bumblebee movie actually did some kind of cool things, and it had some G1 designs which were pretty cool, right? Which are things that my boy told me about. And I said, if they're doing this, which is what it looked like, perhaps it's good. And we are both probably wrongly optimistic. No, we were wrongly optimistic just looking at this movie. But we're thinking, all right, yeah. No, this movie is rather terrible in a lot of ways. Okay. A lot of people might go, hey, it's a movie about talking robots and stuff, and robots that transform from cars and stuff that go into giant gorillas, right? How good could this possibly be? So one of my first doubts about adapting the Beast Wars type of thing was, even in the cartoon, it never really made any sense because there was a gorilla, cheetah, and then they were fighting a giant ant and even a T-Rex. So we were like, if they're supposed to be in disguise, right? But that's the whole thing. Transformers are supposed to be disguised in plain sight. Where are they disguised from, right? And also, those animals weren't around at the same time. So it didn't make any sense. Even as a kid, like you could look at that. But you know, when we were kids, we weren't really paying attention to that. But now that it's in a live action movie, you would have to really justify their existence here. Like, how are they hiding? Especially when I saw Optimus Primal in that trailer, I'm like, there's no way anybody's looking at him in gorilla form and not knowing that's a fucking robot. Let's just be honest, right? That's what I was thinking when I first saw the original trailer, right? There's all stuff before I even go to watch this movie. I'm already having these doubts. Then I go watch this movie last Friday at the time of this video, right? And first they're on this other planet. Spoilers ahead, by the way. Spoilers, right? They're on this planet that's not Cybertron because apparently the Beast Wars, the Maximals, were like people who explored other planets in search like of Energon and stuff like that. And then they get pursued by Terracons, which apparently work for UNICRON. More on UNICRON later, right? But they work for UNICRON. They hunt them down. There's like another Optimus Primal type guy. I think his name was like Ape Link or something like that. He dies while the Maximals go because they want something called the Transwarp Key, which would allow Unicron to warp anywhere in the universe and get whatever Energon. So they use the warp key to warp apparently not only to a different universe, but like also into the future somewhere into our planet, apparently a couple hundred or maybe even 1,000 years past to us. And they land in like the Incas and hide the Transwarp Key somewhere there. It becomes an artifact, and then our main characters find it, and obviously they become in the middle of not only Maximals, but obviously our Autobots, who, once again, this is taking place after Bumblebee's movie, that now obviously the Autobots have been here for 7 years. I believe it's 7 years after the Bumblebee movie. So they're there, they're trapped. They're like, oh, the Transwarp Key is here? oh my God, like technically it's been there for a couple hundred years, even though these guys have been there for, you know, 7. Apparently it needed to be activated, which it was by this random character who apparently knows alien language. And obviously the human characters are annoying as usual. And that's okay. It is what it is, par for the course. But what are the legitimate issues that we have going on here, right? So Unicron is not supposed to be able to really find them and get to them that fast, right? I don't know how he found them. I guess it's because of the transwarp key activating that he was able to find them, but he's not supposed to be able to really get to them that fast unless they're saying he ate every single planet leading up to Earth. How did he get there that fast? The thing that would have allowed him to get there, he never got. There's that thing, right? Because that's what he wants. I want a key to go everywhere in the universe really, really fast. That's really what it is, right? So you have Scourge and the rest of the Terracons. Don't know what happened to the rest of the Decepticons that were there in the first movie, but we're not going to talk about that either, right? So, I mean, I just mentioned it, so I guess we are talking about it. So the Decepticons that were in the first film, are gone. These Terracons are now here. Apparently, this transwarp key is sitting in a museum. We have our new kind of Bumblebee-esque character, even though Bumblebee is there, and he dies right in the beginning of the movie, right? Dies right in the beginning of the movie. You knew that wasn't gonna stick though. And we have Mirage, played by Pete Davidson, who's like, you know, the hip robot. This is, you know, and it has all of Pete Davidson's humor. It is what it is. And he's interacting with the main character that we have, who is trying to prove himself. He used to be a soldier, he's a washout, and now him helping the Autobots is a way that he's going to redeem himself. Okay, right? Obviously, in the fashion of the Transformers, they get their ass whipped by the Terracons when they first see them, right? And they literally need help from one of the Maximals. I keep forgetting her name. That's Silverhawk or something like that. I believe that's who that is, played by Michelle Yeoh. By the way, there were a lot of ethnically specific Transformers in here, which is pretty funny. But regardless, she helps him out, and they find out that apparently the rest of the Maximals, or the other part of the transwarp key, which they found in the museum, is somewhere in Peru. Right, so they go to Peru, try to find that. The Terracons find them there, and obviously this is where the big battle is going to take place, because the whole point is trying to get the transwarp key together, so that way they can give it to Unicron, and then he can eat the planet. Right, he can eat the planet successfully, and then go about his merry way. Okay, so what are some key issues that we've got going on here? First of all, this movie, apparently, I actually read an article where the director, Steve Capel, who I stuck up for to my friend, I said he's probably going to be all right because he did Creed 2, and I really liked Creed 2, even though Creed 2 is not like a big action Autobots type of movie. But I figured if he can keep a story together there, why wouldn't he be able to do it here? I was fucking wrong. You know why? Because he quite literally says in an interview, I'm not gonna let something like ruining like an inconsistency in time ruin a good story. What? That's exactly what happened. It's called breaking continuity. So he goes, yeah, I know what happened in Bumblebee. I'm paraphrasing here, but obviously I think my editor will put up here. He's like, you know, I wasn't there for the last movie, but you know, and you know, so I'm gonna take. He's like, I'm gonna pick up where that one left off, but then I'm also gonna try and make it fit the Michael Bay movies. How? That doesn't make sense. And he goes, yeah, I know he didn't arrive, you know, before, you know, 2007. It said he arrived later on. He didn't arrive earlier, but I guess now that we show him earlier, you can see how he ends up when he meets Shia LaBeouf. That doesn't make any sense. Because if you see how he is, he doesn't really like humans and stuff like that here. And even in Shia LaBeouf's thing, he's very distrustful of humans. Had that past already happened, he wouldn't have looked at Sam like that. He wouldn't. This doesn't, it doesn't make any damn sense. Also, if anybody ever watched that other Dumpster Fire movie, The Last Night, Unicron appeared in that movie. He was in the Earth. He was like a transformer trapped in the Earth that was just going to destroy the entire planet. Amazing. Amazing, right? The only part that I liked about this was when the Maximals yelled "Maximize." That was really the only thing. I was like, yeah, it's cool, my childhood, that's it. Everything else was stupid because, once again, these Maximals were on a planet as Earth creatures, even though they weren't on Earth. Strange, right? As, you know, gorillas, cheetahs, and all that. Then come here and are hiding in disguise. Yet they're talking to the natives? Because they were actually cool with the natives. They saw them and they were speaking their language. So I guess they were like being worshipped as gods, yet nobody knew about it. As a matter of fact, there were several times where Mirage and a couple of them were just in broad day, just sitting there in there. I don't know why I'm whispering, but perhaps it's so fucking stupid. I don't know what else to do with my voice. But the whole thing is, Mirage at some point is in his giant transformer body in the middle of an alley and nobody can see him. The whole point, and even Optimus is saying it multiple times, you're supposed to be inconspicuous. You're supposed to be like, no one's supposed to be seeing you. You're supposed to be hidden. But several times, they're sitting there transforming in front of people. Nobody knows. Nobody notices. Matter of fact, they were doing a whole bunch of stuff in Bumblebee. Wouldn't they have been talking about Transformers then? Yet nobody seems to know about giant robots. Nobody seems to be knowing about it, even though there was a lot of giant robots 7 years prior. People would have been talking about it. So, for something that's supposed to take place after the Bumblebee movie, it seems to ignore a lot of things that happened in the Bumblebee movie. And then it also is supposed to be in the same timeline as the Michael Bay movies. Meanwhile, it goes against almost everything that happens in there. How? And the fact that this dude really said, oh, I'm not going to let... I don't think that, you know, if we mess with time, it's going to make a bad story or it's going to be really inconsistent. What? Who let this person write anything? Who let this person near this story? He just didn't give a shit. Clearly didn't give a shit. And honestly, it shows. Now, what was the biggest crime in here? At the end of the movie, you know, there's this agent that comes over to the main character and pretty much says, hey, thank you for saving the world. He's going on an interview, says, like, you know, I know who you are. You saved the world. You were with the robots over there in Peru, pretty much. He hands him a card. And where's that guy from? G.I. Joe. Here's what's funny about that. And this is a question as a main character I would have asked. Where the fuck were y'all when I was out here risking my life with all these robots? But he said it. We're like a clandestine group of people who handle planetary and interplanetary threats. Yet, you didn't figure that you should jump in and help some young people fight these robots? Oh, I get it. This is just so the next movie can maybe have a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. Yeah, I'll fucking pass. Because this was terrible. And if you're going to have the G.I. Joe, you're going to handle that too, because I know it's all Hasbro. But if you're going to put them in a movie together, and it's like the same group of people writing, I'm done. The G.I. Joe movies in the past were already ass. I don't need more ass. That sounds wrong. But it's right. So, I don't know. This was, all in all, a terrible movie. And it's not like the Michael Bay movies were amazing. But at least they have their own little time thing that they actually listen to. How are you taking place after a movie that you admit it comes after that movie, but then ignore things that happen in that movie, and then say, oh, well, it's also part of this one, but even if we don't really pay attention to time, it's still a good story. You're an idiot. Let me know. Did you like this? Did you have fun watching it? Obviously, watching the giant robots fight and stuff like that can be entertaining. And yes, it could still be a good story. And there are key characters missing. I mean, we got Hot Rod in the old franchise of Michael Bay, but that was a shame. It wasn't really Hot Rod. Where's Ultra Magnus? Where's the Alpha Trions? There's so many cool G1 stuff. They had the chance to really adapt. Beast Wars should have never came in this. This was just dumb. Alright, I'm done. Tell me what you think about it. Enter the Nerd.